Genshin isn't dying. Actually, allow me to reiterate. Genshin won't die. Anytime soon at least. It seems that every time there is a new gacha coming out, a bunch of content creators go around sounding all the alarm bells. Everybody goes nuclear, videos start putting out the wazoo about how this new gacha game number 69 will finally be the last nail in the coffin for Genshin. Yeah, it doesn't really work that way. Now, how do I know the game won't die? Well, it's actually quite simple. Matter of fact, let me break it down for you. Okay, not like that, but with data and logic this time. But before we begin though, I'd really appreciate if you could hit that subscribe button. It helps me a lot more than you could ever imagine. So yeah, if you like what I do on the channel and want to be kept up to date, then make sure to subscribe. But yeah, this trend of, oh, a new Genshin Killer, or, oh, Genshin will finally be toppled, is actually so tiring. The latest culprit to join the gang of wannabe Genshin killers is, of course, none other than Silver Palace. And in case you're not familiar with what Silver Palace is, well, it's supposedly a steampunk Victorian Sherlock Holmes simulator open world gacha RPG. So basically kind of like a reverse 1999, only that it's 3D and open world. And I mean, yeah, the game looks really nice, the characters are awesome, and it doesn't seem to be very kid friendly, which will always be a massive plus in my books. The combat looks fairly fun and engaging, at least from the bits and pieces that they showed us in the trailer. All in all, the game looks quite awesome. Does any of this mean that it's going to kill Genshin? Or maybe even Wuthering Waves? Hell to the fuck no. This is something that happened a lot when Wuthering Waves came out, or at least rather was about to come out, and still nothing changed. Matter of fact, most people that I know that played Genshin before have started playing both at the same time. Because here's the thing, these games are not grindfests, in the real sense of the word at least. They are not like the shooters where you can pump out ranked games and get fucked by randos in your team for over 16 hours a day. These games, or casinos if you want, are packaged in small bites and drip fed to us bit by bit. The amount of gameplay you can squeeze out of one of these games is precisely limited in order to maximize daily engagement and prolong the game's lifespan. Otherwise, you wouldn't have to deal with stuff like resin. And so that means that no matter how much you try, sooner or later you will run out of content in one of these games and be stuck in the never-ending loop of logging in, doing your dailies, doing whatever event is up at the time, spending the resin on some dogshit artifacts, and then logging off after 20 minutes or so. This means that you will pretty much always have time to allocate to other titles. Hence why you can't really kill a game like Genshin, even though there's arguably better options for similar games out there. At most, people will spend a few days, maybe weeks maining the new game that comes out, if they really like it of course, only to return to the same old cycle. And this is only part of why killing a game like Genshin is quite literally impossible. There is something that's even more impactful than other things. Have you ever heard of something called the sunk cost fallacy? See, we humans really like to stick close to the things we've invested in. Whether it's time, money, blood, sweat, tears, cum, or all of them combined, we really have a hard time letting go, even when it's clear that letting go and moving on is actually beneficial. This can easily be translated to Genshin, since the game sucks you of time, money, sweat, tears, and hopefully not fucking splooge, Jesus fucking Christ. But yeah, I mean, if you have an account that you've played on for years, done all the content, grinded through all the neuron killing hangouts, and also most likely spend an unreasonable sum for pixel waifus, chances are you won't just leave that behind, thinking that it would be a waste to do so, even if the new game that just came out is a million times better and has tons of content. This is the basis of the sunk cost fallacy, and in a genre where spending is actually normalized to an unhealthy degree, it's insanely prevalent. But putting all of that aside, what would it actually take to kill Genshin? Since so many so-called Genshin killers have come out, with so many more to come, has Genshin actually taken a hit? Well, thankfully, there is data to answer that question. Obviously, for a game to be killed, its player base would have to be brought to the point where it's reminiscent of Concord's player base during its 2 weeks of glory before having that pillow put on his face, and looking at Genshin's player account, it's obvious that it's nowhere near that point. This chart, created by ActivePlayer.io, shows the average monthly players for Genshin since 2023. It paints a clear picture. Up until November 2024, the game averaged somewhere around 62 million monthly players. In December, however, the numbers took a fairly massive hit and they've yet to recover. This is probably due to all the drama surrounding Natlan, the design choices around it, all in all just people getting fed up with their requests not being listened to or answered by the devs, and the game slowly turning into a goonfest as well. Maybe that plays a part, I don't know. One thing that stayed consistent, however, is the amount of peak players during these months, which is interesting. My guess would be that the die-hard players stuck, while the people who would only enter the game every now and again abandoned it completely. But a drop in players is not really what decides if a game is truly dead, at least for a company, because you see, companies are run by humanoid versions of Mr. Krabs, and if there is one thing that they like, it's money, clams. And thankfully, we have data there as well. Looking at the Sensor Tower reports, another clear picture is being painted. Genshin is still doing really well. It is, however, slowly going down. Matter of fact, Genshin's revenue peaked in 2022 when it reached just shy of $2 billion. That's billion with a B for a single year for a single game. Now it's chilling somewhere around $700 million a year, which is still an insane number, especially considering that 2 more games, Zenless Zone Zero and Honkai Star Rail, have joined the hoyoverse lineup. And obviously, while Genshin is down in revenue, ZZZ and HSR have been picking up the slack left by Genshin. So all in all, Hoyo is still printing mad stacks day in and day out. So realistically, no new game coming out could ever reliably take a significant amount of players from Genshin, at least not enough that it would actually hurt Hoyo's revenue. I think it's quite clear for everyone, or at least I would hope so, that the only conceivable way for Genshin to die at this point is by Hoyo's hands. We've already seen a significant dip in monthly players from November to December of 2024, so we know for a fact that decisions made by the devs affect the player base a lot more than any new game coming out ever could. In my opinion, the Real Genshin Killer has always been right under our sniffer. If Hoyo keeps going down the same route of questionable decision making, I can see the game losing more and more popularity. Only at that point could we actually start looking at other games coming out as a real potential replacement for Genshin, at least in terms of market share. But anyhow, this was it for today's video, a bit of a nerd sesh diving into charts, and honestly I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Again, it's really hard to put into words how much that helps, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. See ya!